Farming in Manor Lords is one of those really critical parts of your economy that you really need to get a good grasp on. Emmer and rye farms give you access to wheat, which can be turned into flour at the windmill and then turned into bread at either the communal oven or bakeries once you unlock that technology. And you'll also need access to barley to make malt, which turns into ale for your taverns, so you could upgrade to level 3 housing, and flax to make clothing. So let's take a look at farming and how some of this right here works. It's a really simple system actually, but there might be a few little tricks I could show you to get a little bit more out of it. Now, of course, your starting region is going to have really poor fertility for the most part. Emmer is going to have a moderately okay fertility rating right here with the double positives, but then everything else like flax and barley is going to be really poor. Now, rye is going to be really good because rye is a special type of fertility that you unlock through the development tree, and it can be grown in really poor soil quality. What I definitely recommend doing is using your first couple of points to go ahead and unlock rye cultivation so you can get a jump start on your food production as quickly as possible. Once you have that, go ahead and throw down your first rye farm. The first one you really don't need any larger than what's called a morgan. 1 morgan is equal to about 1 acre. So go over here, we're going to check that rye fertility. We can see that it's really good up here. And this uses the same system with the flexible system right here, and we can draw out whatever we want. As you can see right here, this is about a 1. There's a 1, there's a 1.1. A 1 or a 1.1 size farm is pretty decent for the early game. You can make it as big as you want, but you know, maybe don't go overboard in the early game because you do need more families to work larger farms, and you may not have those families available to you. So kind of get started a little slower, make a couple of smaller farms to begin with, and then you can tear them down and rebuild them later into larger farms when you have a bigger population. Now, as you can see, I have my first rye farm right here, and it is at about 48% fertility rating, and which that's okay. But what we want to do is actually turn on crop rotations. Every year that this has rye planted on it, the fertility will go down. What you want to do is click this right here, the crop rotation. Now, a good strategy that I have seen that works so far for the moment is to do rye or whichever seeds you want to put down to be grown here. Have that 1 year of growth followed by 2 years of fallow. The fallow can take quite a while to actually regenerate that fertility all the way back up. So you might want to do 2 years of fallow. I know it seems really slow, but trust me, there's a reason for that. So 1 year on, 2 years off. Now, what we're going to do instead is we're going to build another farm. I know, crazy, right? We're going to make another farm. So I'm going to drag one right over here. Again, get it to about 1 morgan. Right there. Boom. Plop that one down. Now, whereas this one is crop type rye right there, this one we're going to leave fallow for right now. And we're going to turn the rotation on. It's going to go fallow, rye, fallow. So now, when this one has a year off, this one is going to have a year on. You see what I'm doing here? I'm actually having a 3 farm rotation, so I can always have something being grown, and I don't have my farmers standing around doing nothing. So I'm going to do 1 more field. Again, checking that rye fertility. Make sure I'm putting it where it kind of needs to go. We're going to grab a 1 morgan farm right there. And this one, again, staying fallow there, but we're going to do rye right there. Now, this ensures that at all times, even if one of them is fallow, another one is growing rye for us. That way my farmers can rotate around and plant something every year, and I always have rye coming in. That's a really good way to make sure your farmers are not idle. This is all well and good for a little while, and it will get you by for the early game for quite a while, actually, giving you plenty of rye for your people. But eventually you might want to actually start having crops grown more often, or you might need additional different types of crops grown. Maybe we want to grow some barley or flax if the fertility was better in this region right here. Maybe we want to do something like that. Well, in that case, there's a special development point that we want to take a look at. Opposite the side of the rye cultivation, there is a technology called fertilization. This allows you to build a pasture over top of a field, and when the field is fallow, it will allow animals to reside on it. So as you can see right here, we have a field right here of barley. It has space for 51 animals on it, and we currently have 3 sheep over here. These 3 sheep are doing what animals do whenever they eat a little bit, and they are fertilizing the ground, basically. And as we have more sheep on this pasture right here, it will increase the fertility rather rapidly. Doing it like this right here would allow us to have back-to-back crops of either the same thing, or maybe I want to do barley one year and wheat another, however you want to do it. So being able to put sheep or goats or anything else like that on these fields using that pasture space is really, really awesome. It's going to let you have back-to-back crops without having to have the double years of fallow in between. Now, getting up to 4 development points can take a little while, so that is why I definitely recommend doing the 3-farm setup, rotating the crops staggered between each of the 3 from the others. That way you always have something going and you don't have any idle time for your farmers. You always have crop coming in. Eventually you will want to use the pastures and stuff, especially in your farming regions, and have this right here going. That way your fields boost their fertilities much faster. That way you can go ahead and have multiple things going at once without having to have so many farm fields everywhere. So that's all I've got for you guys. Just a couple of quick little tips and tricks for the farming and everything. We are in early access right now. A lot of us are still playing the game, learning the game, understanding how some of this stuff works. As I get more information about farming and how some of this might work and some other tips and tricks, I will definitely let you guys know in another video. But hopefully this gave you some ideas and shed some light on how some of the farming works. With that, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you in our next video. Until then, take care.